Welcome to Wisconsin. We're looking for warblers and other eastern state specialties that I don't usually see on this channel in Utah. You are not going to want to miss this video. Welcome back to the channel. I am Hawken, your virtual birding guide. This is Hawken the Lens. Well, today though, I am not going to be doing much guiding at all because this area is brand new to me. Wisconsin is my home state. It is where I was born and raised, so it's always nice to come back here and visit family. And now that I'm a much more serious birder, I take full advantage of seeing a whole plethora of new species. It is currently the middle of May, which means a lot of warblers are coming through Wisconsin that we don't get out west. We have far fewer warblers out west. There are so many out here, so there's a ton of potential for lifers. I'm gonna struggle with ID, so bear with me, but we are gonna have an awesome birding day, and I'm gonna take you along with me. So let's go find some birds. I seriously sympathize with you birders from the eastern states. I'm hearing so many calls and trying to film all these warblers, but they just dart around deep in the trees. It is pretty tough, I'll say. But apparently Merlin's picking up some sounds that are lifers. I'm counting some of them, not all of them, and I got a few on camera, so I think I have picked up a few lifer warblers already, but wow, this is hard to film. Here's some skulky shots of a bird so you can appreciate the challenge I was dealing with trying to film this species. Thankfully, however, I did get a couple of photos so I could show you that this is my lifer magnolia warbler. Really awesome start to this first location. The new warbler species and warblers in general were all over. Even some I've seen before, like this black and white warbler. I was still taking a time to appreciate the other species around too. Like this brown-headed cowbird, for example, who was making its very distinctive call up in the trees. Turning our attention to a species we don't usually see in Utah, the American redstart. This is the warbler I got the best looks of throughout my time at this environmental area. It stayed fairly still in this tree, which would allow me to set up my tripod and get some very decent shots of this beautiful bird. Another bird I was excited to see was the Baltimore oriole. We get the Bullock's oriole in Utah, so this bird was nice to get for the year. They have such a vibrant, deep orange color to them, and it's always cool to see. I moved my way from the forest towards the water's edge along the river, hoping to see some other warblers that make this spot their home. The first bird to come into view was the common grackle. Alright, time for a snack. So, we've had a little bit more luck getting some warblers on camera, which I'm really happy about because I of course want to show you all the birds I'm seeing. I think I'm going to try and make it a regular thing in my videos though, to put my checklists or trip reports down in the description of the video. So if you want to see my checklists on eBird, you can always, well, I shouldn't say always, but probably most of the time from now on find them there. So any birds I don't get on camera, you'll be able to see what I came across.
One of my target species for going home was the rose-breasted grosbeak, so I was really happy to see this one even if it was directly above my head and I only got these shots, but you can make out that rose-colored chest. And then that was followed up by a chestnut-sided warbler, another lifer.
I love these little artistic touches. Look at that, that's just beautiful.
Returning back to the riverside, I was able to catch this eastern phoebe doing its characteristic tail bobbing motion. It flew back and forth on this perch several times, likely looking for bugs or other food to eat.
Honestly, that was so much fun birding. Now, trying to film all these birds is so hard. As you saw, I was struggling. These warblers just do not stop moving, but it's been about 2.5 hours. I could just stay here for so much longer, but I've got some other commitments I gotta get to, so I will check back in with you when I am birding next. Welcome back to some more birding. Excuse the hair, it's a little windy today, but this is gonna be a little interesting segment of the video. So I'm at my parents' house, and while they are not huge birders, they are definitely nature lovers, and they've curated their house in such a way to be very great habitats for birds. And I was standing out here having breakfast the other day and I was just noticing the amount of species. So we're gonna have a fun segment where I try to find as many birds as possible on my parents' property.
So I started this little side quest out front, checking the feeders, which were a little empty, lacking some jelly. Still though, there were birds around, and the first ones I noticed were actually really cool. This is the most common species in North America in the wild, the American robin, but what was sweet is they were nesting right alongside my parents' house. And I got some really awesome looks at the babies begging for food. These little fledglings were actually getting quite big at this point and starting to crowd each other within the nest. I wouldn't be surprised if they were going to start testing out their wings in the wild real soon. Even though they had previously eaten all the jelly that was at the feeders, the Baltimore Orioles were still out in abundance on the trees around the property. These birds look so awesome in that morning light, showing off that orange color so well. There were also some females, or maybe potentially this is a juvenile here actually, showing a little bit more of a yellowish coloration. Honestly, kind of looks like Cheeto dust on its breast as it's developing. I continue my walk around, moving towards the pond that is naturally formed here. There weren't too many birds out on the water itself, as there usually don't congregate there, just a couple of Canada geese. I move more from the pond into the grasslands now, and you're about to see that species I just called out in the text. Actually, some of my best shots of it. So if you haven't guessed yet, that was the call of the common yellowthroat. I was so fortunate to get this close to it, even through the branches. It was a really awesome look at this bird. Now, I'm so grateful to have parents that love nature just like I do, and I was able to get all these species just on their property. We had some black-capped chickadees at the feeders here too, and then I actually did pick up a lifer, which makes my parents' property that much cooler. After seeing this downy woodpecker hopping around some of the blossoming trees, I picked up my lifer Orchard's Oriole. What a great bird to end this little segment on.
Wow, pretty great views of a lot of birds there. The common yellow-throat shot was one of my favorites. And then I believe I just got my lifer Orchard's oriole. It was a younger bird or a female. I'm pretty sure it's a younger bird though that had the black throat, and it was still yellowish, not as orange. So the Baltimore oriole does not get that black throat. And the next most common would be the Orchard's oriole. Now, the other possibilities are an extremely rare hooded oriole or Bullock's oriole, but based off of rarity alone, I'm gonna go with the Orchard one here, which is a lifer for me. So that's pretty cool. Just at my parents' house, I picked up a lifer.
And now we're at day 3, the final day of birding Wisconsin for me. My girlfriend, my parents, and I headed out to Horicon Marsh. This incredible wetland habitat is about 33,000 acres and is one of the largest freshwater marshes in the US. Its habitat of open water and cattails is super important for birds that migrate through the area, so I was really excited to get out and explore. We started in the visitor center where I noticed they had the exact same scope that I use, which is pretty awesome for a wildlife area like this. They're usually not that great. They had a huge snapping turtle too, who is their mascot.
Okay, we are at our last location of the Wisconsin trip. We fly out tomorrow, but we're spending my last full day out here at Horicon Marsh, one of the best birding hotspots in Wisconsin. I have never been, so I'm really excited to explore. We just talked to some people in the visitor center behind us. We are at the south end, which is managed by the state, whereas the whole northern 2/3 are managed by the National Wildlife Refuge. So we have some good hotspots picked out and shown to us and where we could find some great species. I'm hoping to pick up a few lifers. It should be very fun. Let's go explore Horicon Marsh.
It was a bit of a chillier day, as you could tell by my coat and hat that I was wearing, but that did not stop the birds. We quickly got some purple martins nesting in boxes near the visitor center. After seeing these, my parents got slightly interested in making some boxes on their own property for them, which I think would be super neat. We then started walking towards the forest across some boardwalks, hoping to find some more warblers. One of the earlier surprises of the day was a green heron that we got some great looks as it flew by. Out of all of the calling warblers, the only one I could get good looks at was the American redstart, just like previously. Still, it's hard to complain, it's a really cool bird. But there were some other common species around too, like the American robin, a very nice eastern kingbird out in the field, and then the most common warbler, the yellow warbler. And then we left this part of the marsh, seeing our green heron friend up in a tree on the way out. We moved along to drive the eastern roads along the sides of the marsh to look for even more species. Off in the water, a great egret pranced proudly around. This bird is definitely hard to miss. It's one of the largest you will find. We saw a bunch of birders gathering near this open water, so we decided to join them and see what they were looking at, and I got my first lifer of the day, the black tern. These were mixed in with a bunch of swallows here, but the larger birds you see flying are tern species, and that's a new one for me. We continued our northward journey along the eastern edge of Horicon Marsh, stopping at various lookout areas, and then we landed at the Bud Cook hiking area in hopes of finding bobolink. And sure enough, in the fields here, I did get my lifer bobolink. This was really, really exciting. Now I paused for a second there so you could hear its incredible call. The bobolink has such a unique vocalization that I really, really loved to listen to while I was here on this day.
Alright, we've been working our way along the eastern edge of Horicon Marsh up towards the Northern Auto Tour Loop, driving slowly, stopping to get out and look for birds just along the way. I think I just picked up my lifer black tern, got some really cool videos of big clouds of swallows and terns flying over the water. There were definitely black tern out there and maybe a few Forster's terns mixed in. And then we stopped at the Bud Cook hiking area briefly just to check out what's around here, and I got my lifer bobolink finally. Some pretty decent views of that bird. Really cool call. Happy to pick that one up for my life list.
Now outside of the bobolink, there were some other cool birds in the area too. We had a common yellowthroat out in the field, got a good glimpse of that, and then there were definitely some sparrows around, mainly song sparrows, as this one here was up on a tree, and then there was one slightly closer in the field as well. But I did also get my lifer clay-colored sparrow. Now I'm pretty positive this is a clay-colored sparrow because it doesn't have any streaking on the breast, it has that more pinkish bill, and it has that clay-colored nape.
Oh wait, that's not a bobolink, I don't think.
Now you just heard me struggling with the idea there a bit. This is indeed a bobolink. This is the female bobolink. It made it a lot easier to figure that out when the male companion came in to say hello. After that bobolink encounter, it was back to the road for us. We had now reached the northern part of Horicon Marsh, and we were driving, looking at the birds that were appearing along the sides of the road. We pulled into the parking lot of yet another hiking area, and we were greeted by this beautiful male rose-breasted grosbeak. I believe this area was either the Egret Trail or the Discovery Trail, I don't quite remember. But it went through some boardwalks that took us through some very nice terrain, more marsh areas. It was still a little chilly at this point though, so we weren't planning on sticking around long, but we wanted to see what birds we could still come across here.
Well, with that final stop here at the Marsh Haven Nature Center, that is going to conclude my Wisconsin birding adventure. I'll be heading back home to Utah tomorrow. So thank you for watching this video. I will see you in the next one.